Join us as we cover several board games that recently captured the attention of the Watch It Play team and discuss why each one caught our eye. These are games on our radar. This month, we welcome you to Abandoned Concept Theater, where we present dead-end storylines that were once in development, but before they could be completed, they were abandoned by our head writer, Chaz.
And if you've watched this show before, you're familiar with what actually does make it to air.
One abandoned storyline from a couple of years ago features rondels that could control the future, which I'm reminded of by the first game that's recently been on Paula's radar, Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done?
Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done, a strategy game for 2 to 4 noble knights, each of which manages their own personal rondel, which determines the actions they have available and can be upgraded over the course of the game. What's more, each player's faction has a special power to control their rondel. With so much fantastic rondel-based action taking place in Crusaders, Thy Will Be Done, the world of rondels will never be the same. No, I just said rondel a lot. That was a lot of times to say rondel. Even though the idea of fate-altering rondels never materialized, it's possible that I've talked about the game Crusaders Thy Will Be Done on the show before. Regardless, it's back on my radar in a big way because I finally got to play an actual physical copy of the game. Up to this point, I had actually only played it online on Board Game Arena, where all the rondels were virtual. Virtual rondels. Rondels in digital form, 100% of the rondel ruckus, with none of the physicality. Gosh, I really love this game. I think this might become a Grail game situation for me because I think it's out of print and I really want my own copy. And I don't know how to get it. Cool, now I'm sad in a way that only access to a personal special powered rondel could cure. But we abandoned that storyline. So...
And now, before Chaz shares his first picks of the month, he shares a word about the game that helped make this episode possible.
Step into a world of wonder and natural splendor with HUTAN, an immersive game inspired by the Indonesian word for rainforest. In HUTAN, all players have their own rainforest patch where they will plant sprouts and flowers that, over time, will grow into towering trees. When a habitat is created, an iconic forest animal arrives, be it an orangutan, a tiger, rhinoceros, or other exotic beast. HUTAN plays over 9 rounds, and all players will have 2 turns each round. On your turn, simply take a flower card from the shared market pool and place the flowers into your rainforest. If you place a flower on top of a matching flower, you grow a tree, just like in nature. Then, when an area is filled with trees, the last tree is replaced by an animal. At the end of the game, the player who grew the best rainforest and attracted the most animals will score the most points and win. Follow the link in this video's description to find more information and order HUTAN directly from the Ops website. Back when the 3D television craze was gripping the nation, we ourselves had plans to do a 3D episode inspired by the game of 3D train robbery, Colt Express, and the version that's crammed with content that's on my radar this month, the Colt Express Big Box.
In Colt Express, your goal is to become the richest outlaw of the Old West. Easy. The action takes place on a 3D train where the bandits can move from one car to another, run across the roof, punch and shoot the other bandits, rob the passengers, or simply harass the marshal and derail his whole day.
Despite coming out over a decade ago and having a cool table presence, I realize I've never played Colt Express. Not once. So, what better way to introduce myself and my gaming friends to the game than with its big ol' box, which includes the base game, its 2 expansions, plus a nifty little bandit add-on. I'm looking forward to making my way across the physical train that's integral to this game, and confirming my assertion that 3 is indeed the best number of dimensions to play in. It's also why we briefly toyed with the idea of doing the On the Radar episode in 3D.
Why did we abandon the idea of doing an episode in 3D?
Well, turns out that filming in 3D requires very special and expensive cameras and software.
You didn't realize that?
Well, I mean, everything everywhere is already in 3D, right? I mean, I figured, how hard could it be? Plus, we couldn't get the proper permits from the Canadian Department of Multidimensional Filmmaking in time.
It's too bad Rodney couldn't help secure those permits.
Well, that was the week that he was getting the subscription to his personality renewed.
Hey, speaking of Rodney, does anyone know where he is?
I haven't seen him.
Oh, he was supposed to join us half an hour ago.
Maybe he overslept?
I've known Rodney for a decade, and I'm not sure I've ever seen him sleep.
Well, maybe he fell into a parallel universe where everything's all opposite-y.
You go from overslept just immediately, directly to fell into a parallel universe.
He should be so lucky.
Well, since he's not here, we'll have to replace Rodney's game picks with some more of our own.
Replace Rodney.
Replace Rodney's game picks. No, his game picks. Not Rodney, his picks, his games. Replace Rodney's game picks.
Were you allowed to do that?
Allowed? I do believe I have never heard a suggestion that has made me happier. Paula, please go proceed with your first game pick while I go and start searching for a replacement for Rodney. Oh, yee! And that is the point where the story idea of replacing Rodney with a sophisticated sock puppet hit a bit of a brick wall and was thereby abandoned.
We never got a chance to meet the character of Rodney's sock puppet stand-in, but we can meet several colorful characters, and Matthew's first pick of this month, Sir Ocelot's Cave, where good Sir Ocelot and Professor Penguin are exploring a newly discovered cave system and competing for precious gemstones found inside. To locate and collect gemstones, players use compasses, lamps, and pickaxes to unearth gemstones, geodes, celestites. The deeper the players descend into the cave, the more valuable the treasures await them to be found.
Is this the greatest board game box cover of all time? It's gotta be close. This is largely an abstract game about mining for gems, but something about it has really drawn me into wanting to know more.
I have a feeling it was Professor Penguin who drew you in.
Yes, correct, it's the penguin. But wanting to know more is a bit of an issue because there's not really too much information about this out there in the world yet, and it's from a first-time designer, but, and not to be superficial, I can't really afford to be superficial with this face, but this game box, it just drew me in. It wins best game box cover.
Ever wonder what would happen if the entire Watch It Play team went camping deep in the New England woods? Well, I hope not, because that idea never got further than the Costco food court receipt that it was written on the back of.
But all is not lost because Paula has selected a wood-themed game as her next pick of the month, the abstract strategy puzzle game Intarsia. And that's tenuous connection between those two, but it's enough to satisfy my contractually required professional curiosity.
In Intarsia, wily woodworkers compete to win a contract by proving their skills by designing stylish wooden inlays and outdoing their competitors with new tools. Each ornament can consist of 1 to 4 filigree wooden elements that are puzzled together from the outside inwards. The more pieces the ornament consists of, the more victory points it scores.
This was a big Gen Con surprise for me. An even bigger surprise than the live goose that was in my Gen Con hotel room when I checked in. So we're talking big surprise. I was walking through the exhibitors hall and I stopped to look at Intarsia because it caught my eye with just how darn beautiful it is. And the rest truly is history. The gameplay, to me, lives up to the visual appeal, and again, for me, I think this game could beat out Azul. I mean, not that it needs to be a competition or anything, but these are games and we are trying to win them, and that is inherently competitive, so maybe it does need to be a competition. Look, I like it better than Azul. Your mileage may vary. The component quality is so lovely, with the wooden pieces that slot together so nicely. You get these nice little combos going, and there are goals to work toward to help you focus your choices. I think this is a great game, and I am so glad I stumbled over it. I'm not glad I stumbled over the live goose that was in my hotel room.
An episode that took place in a supernatural hotel during a board game convention was another idea that never really came to fruition.
Why not?
Well, most of the ideas involved burning the hotel to the ground by the end of the episode.
If that happened, the hotel would have to be rebuilt like the village built upon a cliffside overlooking the sea in my next game pick, Positano.
Climb your way over that clunky segue to enter the city limits of Positano, a city building game where each round players bid on 3 simultaneous auctions determining the size, quality, and location of new resorts on a 3-dimensional cliffside board. Quality resorts will earn the most points, but only if they have a clear view of the sea. Which makes sense, I think, to everyone. Can you even count a resort as quality if it doesn't have a clear view of the sea? Duh, why would you even bother staying in a resort if you couldn't get an ocean view room? I don't even know why they had to say it.
This one really has some good looking pieces. I'm a simple man. I love auction games and I love building things, so that matched with the massive 3D pieces and the picturesque artwork has really, it's got me wanting to try this out. And again, I can't really afford to be superficial, all right? It does look pretty cool, right?
Huh. Both the games Positano and Colt Express feature big 3D pieces. Chaz, I think you missed a real opportunity to make a real slick segue between those two games.
Yes, which demonstrates that in a practical application of abandoned concept theater, I have actually lost interest in continuing the concept of abandoned concept theater itself.
You're abandoning the concept of abandoning concept?
I dropped your yogurt on the floor.
Oh, come on, man. That was my prescription yogurt.
There's nothing else you want to explore to be able to expand on the idea?
Right now, the only expanding that I'm interested in is the expanding that's provided by my next pick, the expansion to Mythwind called Friends and Family. This guy, right here. Hello. This introduces the varied townsfolk inhabiting the mythical, magical village of Mythwind. And boy howdy, do they got some stories to tell you.
Ooh, I just got this. I haven't even taken it out of the shrink yet. Mythwind is a cooperative and solo cozy board game with unique characters, a magical sprites, engaging story, and an unending adventure. As an open-ended game, Mythwind has no distinct conclusion. Although many players may find a natural endpoint to their game at the conclusion of the story, players can continue to play the game for as long as they would like over as many game sessions as they wish.
As players progress through Mythwind, their town will develop and grow, reacting to changing seasons and to the members of the community over time. The result is more of a sandbox game than a legacy game, and even then, I'm not sure that that's really the best way to categorize it. But the game is so chill, I'm sure that Mythwind doesn't mind either way. And with the Friends and Family expansion, players can now visit other characters in order to benefit from their expertise in the form of new socialize actions. And what does that say about board gamers, that socialize is a specific skill to be managed like a resource? I'll leave that to your own interpretation. But doing so does increase the character's friendship with local villagers, unlocking new and exciting story elements.
And you can power up your socializing skill by organizing a game night with your friends. And when you do, take a look at the website GameNightPicks.com. Chad's built the website and he's standing right over there. Possibly over there. It's hard to tell. Game Night Picks helps you schedule public and private game nights. Suggest what you want to play with your friends, vote on which games to pick next, set your personal preferences for each suggestion, indicate your level of expertise. I'm a genius. Record your plays, manage your collection, and more. Follow the link to Game Night's pick in this video's description so Chaz will stop staring at me from across the room.
And now, Emberleaf, a competitive card dancing and tile placement board game for 1 to 5 players. As a brave Emberling, hold on. Card dancing. That can't be right. Card dancing. Okay, I did read that right. Yeah, great. Card dancing. With everything else going on, sure. Why not card dancing? Love it. In Emberleaf, your mission is to rebuild your home in the heart of an ancient forest. To succeed, you'll explore the wilderness, gather resources, clear dangerous areas, and construct new homes for your kin. Along the way, you'll recruit heroes into your fellowship, each bringing unique skills that will help empower your team. But beware, space in the forest is limited, and other Emberlings have their own plans, and those plans involve, oh, you guessed it, card dancing, whatever that is.
I don't know what a card dancing game is, but I'm very excited to find out. Honestly, it's the designer Frank West that makes me excited for this one, as I like his games, and I like tile placement, and I like engine building and resource management. These are all things melded in together, things that I love. Will card dancing also be a thing that I will grow to love? Like sunsets, rainbows, and not finding my prescription yogurt splattered across the linoleum floor in the break room. Only time will tell. But if I were a betting man, I am, I would put all my money on card dancing.
And while Matthew's vision of the future involves whatever it was that he was talking about, the future that I see in my next game pick is somewhat more bleak, because that's the frightening future that takes place in the game Ruination.
Ruination is a 2 to 4 player area control and civilization game set in post-apocalyptic Eurasia. Using an innovative action system, players will gather resources to acquire advantages from the wreckage of the world before, bolster their armies with powerful exiles, and march across the wasteland to war. Only the strongest and most canny horde will rule beside the Khan, who commands that only the most worthy may drink from the wasteland's waters. Thus, that sounds gross though. Anyway, the hordes ready themselves for battle. Thirsty, dusty, wastelandy battle.
Ruination is another game that somehow completely passed me by back when it was kickstarted and released several years ago. But fortunately, a few months ago, a friend of mine brought it to a local game night and he slid it across the table to me and said, You like minis, card drafting, and variable player powers. Play this right now. Actually, I'm not sure that's exactly what he said because the specifics of our conversation are lost to the sands of time, but fortunately, those sandy sands of time have not kept the apocalyptic wastelands of Ruination from me because, whatever he said, he was right. And soon, after him being right happened, I was able to go out and find my own copy of the game to eventually slide across the table to present to another friend or formidable foe.
And my final pick this month is a game that's caught my eye, Naishi.
In Naishi, you, yes, you, it's a big responsibility, will seek to improve your Japanese state as efficiently as possible, but no more efficiently than that. All right? That's the level of efficiency that we need. This is accomplished through the clever, hopefully, placement of cards. However, you will not be free to change the positioning of your cards just willy-nilly. Oh no, that would be ludicrous. Instead, you must replace the cards, populating your hand and tableau with cards from the central river while respecting their positioning. Playing well will create new opportunities and maybe even force your opponent into a trade.
Matthew and I have been playing this on Board Game Arena, and oh boy, it's good.
Indeed.
It's got really lovely art and a really engaging mechanism of taking cards to place into your tableau for points, but where in your tableau you place them is really important for scoring. And only some of your tableau is actually visible to your opponent, so you can try and keep something secret from them so they can't hate draft against you. The decisions feel meaningful and interesting, and I find myself just really happy to play it over and over and over and over again, honestly. And you're invited to watch this video over and over and over and over again, or you could continue on to our most recent People's Choice video, which takes a look into games that our viewers have recently reported playing. Some are new, some are old, and always, some are unexpected. We'll see you over there, and thanks for watching.